bring this to you. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder.
Hello, my name is Holly, and this is The Murder She Shed, the place I discuss rarely heard true crime right from my she shed. Come join me today for Wacky World Wednesday, in which we are going to discuss a vintage case of a real live zombie. Not only was he a real live zombie, but he was able to come back to life and become a man again. No, really am not kidding. This is the true story of Clairvius Narcisse. But first, before we start our story, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button to be able to hear all my stories. I have old cases, new cases, and hopefully, mostly cases you have never heard. Give me a chance. Who knows, you may find out you like this Southern girl. Before we start, I'm going to explain my purple hint. If anybody's from the South, they know dewberries are growing right now. I wanted to make a dewberry cobbler, so I went and picked some dewberries. So if you're not from the South, you may not know what dewberries are. They're basically the same thing as a blackberry. A blackberry grows on a taller bush, and dewberries grow low to the ground, and they're smaller than a blackberry, but they taste exactly the same, and they make great cobblers. So here we go. Clairvius Narcisse was a man who was born in Haiti in January 2nd of 1922. He died in May of 1962 at 40 years of age, only to reappear at his sister's house 18 years later with a tale that seems too wild to be true. Clairvius was said to have fathered many children and refused to support any of them financially. Him and his brother inherited land from their parents, and Clairvius just refused to share it with his brother. Clairvius was seen as an irresponsible con man who only looked out for himself. Well, his brother wouldn't have to worry about Clairvius's greedy ways because Clairvius suddenly got sick and visited the local hospital. When stumbling into the hospital, he told doctors that he had been suffering from various aches and high fevers for some time before recently coughing up blood. Even as he spoke with medical staff, it could be seen that his condition was progressively getting worse each day, and it would be found that he also suffered from digestive disorders, pulmonary edema, hypothermia, respiratory difficulties, and hypotension, as well as tingling sensations throughout his body and a strange blue discoloration of his lips. Doctors could not pinpoint exactly what was wrong with him, but they did what they could to no avail. On May 2nd, he was found by nurses in the room dead. Attending physicians, including 2 American doctors, officially pronounced him dead and signed an official death certificate. He was put into a freezer for a full 24 hours before being buried. After he had died, his sister, Angelina, had cried at his bedside. His sister would watch as they sealed the coffin with nails, and he was buried. Nearly 2 decades later, in 1980, Angelina was at the marketplace when a man she did not recognize approached her out of the crowd. The man stumbled along as if drunk and seemed to be in sort of a half daze, but as she backed away from him, thinking he was some sort of weirdo, he muttered something that caught her off guard. A nickname that she had not been called for years, and which only her immediate family knew he called her. She was shocked. His face made her scream. Though older and empty-eyed, and with a new scar on his face, the man greatly resembled her brother. The man then came forth with the revelation that he was her brother, Clairvius. long thought to have been dead, but was telling her childhood memories that only the two of them had shared. How could this be? She watched as he was put inside of a grave. Clairvius would then tell her a bizarre tale. He said that he had heard the doctors pronounce him dead and had heard her crying like stuff from nightmares, heard nails being hammered in his coffin, one even being nailed into his head, pointing to the scar over his face. He stated he could not move, could not speak, as he heard the dirt being shoveled over his coffin. And then it grew quiet for what seemed like to him several days, and suddenly he would hear shoveling sounds again, and the lid of his coffin slowly opening. And as Clairvius looked up above him, there was a voodoo priest who kneeled down and gave him a paste that turned him into a zombie. You are saying, wait, this is too weird to be true. Well, let me explain. The reason Clairvius was even in that grave to begin with was because of this voodoo priest. The voodoo priest had poisoned him with a mixture of a corpse bones grinded with the poison of a pufferfish along with a little toad juice. Sounds yummy, I know, but this particular mixture can make an individual seem dead. It will paralyze after ingestion and also slows the heartbeat down to where it can barely be heard. After the voodoo priest seen that Clairvius was buried, he dug him up and fed him this new paste called zombie cucumber. In America, we call it Jimson weed. It causes a stupor and state similar to sleepwalking. Zombie cucumber also causes memory loss. The voodoo priest dug Clairvius up, beat him, and led him to a nearby plantation, where he was told that he was a zombie and therefore required to work. Each day he would be fed this zombie paste to keep him in this zombie-like trance. He was not the only person to be forced into slavery in this way. There are several documented cases in Haiti that people came back from the dead in this way and were forced into slavery. On the plantation, Clairvius and some other zombies labored from sunup to sunset, pausing for only one spare meal a day. He would later report that he passed his time there in a dreamlike state, devoid of will, with events unfolding before him as in slow motion. Freedom came 2 years later. One of the zombies was being beaten by the voodoo priest for not wanting to take that paste anymore. And in desperation, the would-be victim managed to grab a hoe and kill his tormentor. The zombies all then escaped. Clairvius spent the next 16 years wandering the Haitian countryside until that day in 1980 where he returned to see his sister. After the villagers began to learn about the zombie returning, they made such a commotion that the government authorities placed him in jail to protect him from attacks. His family did not welcome him back home. He was taken under the care of a doctor for his protection and then spent his time largely at the doctor's private clinic or at the Baptist mission in the area, only visiting his village for short periods, always with the doctor with him. Eventually, he was accepted back into the village, and even at the age of 70, fathered more children, because apparently he didn't have enough zombie seedlings in the world. He died at 72 years of age in 1994, at least as far as we know, he died. But who knows? So see, when I told you zombies existed, I was just giving you something to chew on. That was bad. Well, it was only a little pun. This joke may be even worse than that pun, but I have to tell it before I sign off. What is black and white and red all over? A nun being eaten by a zombie. Hey, smash that like and subscribe button, or you will be dead to me. I kid. or am I? Well, guys, got to tell you bye and sign off. Simon says bye too. We love y'all, and we hope y'all have a zombie slaying week. And I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you soon. Bye. So I went and picked some dewberries. So if you're wondering why it's purple, well, I'm not turning into Barney or anything. Yeah. Barney? Does people know about Barney still? Never mind. What you doing back there, poodles? This is Simon. If you guys don't know Simon, he's my puppy boy. He helps me tell stories in the she shed. And he helped me pick berries and eat them too. In America, we call it Jimson weed. Why can I say that? In America, we call it Jimson. Jesus! In America, we call it Jimson weed. Congratulations! You said it. By the voodoo priest. For insubordinate was being beaten by the voodoo priest. For insubordination by the voodoo priest. For insubordination. I am skipping that. For voodoo priest. For insubordination. For insubordination. Blood is black and white and red all over. Amen. Amen. Now, hey, smash that like or subscribe. Rewind.